Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and Wargaming just revealed all of the content that they have coming up over the next few months in their roadmap video. So I'm going to watch it all with you, but once again, if you want to watch it without my terrible commentary, please find it live in your region's official World of Tanks YouTube channel. So here we go, let's take a look to see what the roadmap is going to be for the next few months.
And welcome back to the Roadmap Highlights episode 2. Today I brought some reinforcements directly from our game development team, Alexandra.
Hello, Michael.
She will help me to explain better to you in more detail what we are preparing for you for the upcoming months. So in today's episode, we want to focus on a couple of upcoming
Frontline,
features.
Murney, Return of the Waffenträger,
new features
Steel
in
Hunter
general,
Reborn,
we are cooking as well for
Service
you.
Record
and last
update.
but not least, the British medium vehicle.
Oh my
that are finding their way
goodness
into our game
gracious.
later.
Oh my goodness gracious, a whole tech tree of British wheeled mediums have been revealed, and it looks like, maybe I can get out of the way for a second, you're gonna have to start at the Covenanter, boys and girls.
This year. I hope you're equally excited about the details that Alexandra will now able to share. Enjoy the show and see you later.
Let's take a look to see what Wargaming has. Whoa, hardcore coding going on here. It must be serious, very serious, boys and girls. What do we have?
Hello, Wargamers. My name is Alexandra Lehenchenko, and I am a senior game designer at World of Tanks. Performing a design owner role, my team and I help to develop various features such as metagame systems and in-game events. I'm very happy to be here today and continue updating you guys on our last news and upcoming events.
Fantastic.
So, let's go.
Let's take a look at it.
Let's start off by looking at a game mode beloved by players, Frontline. We
Great.
plan on bringing Frontline back very soon, but it should receive a couple of changes in comparing with previous iteration.
What are
We would
they?
like to simplify systems of the game mode
Simplify?
in order to make it more comfortable for players to use.
Wow.
Let's take a closer look at what we are planning for the game mode.
Please.
Players will now be offered the option to pick between 2 random reserves.
What? 2 random reserves? They're gonna simplify it so you can't prepare in the battle and you have to customize your vehicle as you go on? What?
While playing Frontline,
What?
allowing players to potentially pick the same reserve twice,
Huh.
increasing its effect.
Okay, that's interesting. So it's kind of a bit like what they do in the Steel Hunter game mode, for example, with the way that you customize as you go up the ranks.
All abilities will level up equally and consist of 3 standard tiers. Using
But there's a 4th one. I see a 4th one. What's the 4th one for?
the already familiar reserve tokens,
Okay.
you can also buy an additional level, allowing you to achieve tier 4 for your reserves.
Fantastic. Okay, so it looks like what you purchase in the garage is still going to have an impact, but I don't like the idea of it being random. Obviously, I haven't seen all of the details. Wargaming, it could be really awkward not getting the ones that you want, but we'll see how random it can possibly be when there's only kind of like about 9 choices. So maybe it will still be good.
Another game mode you can expect to see is Steel Hunter Reborn.
Okay, we've heard this a
which
few
will
times.
have a few key differences from the classic game mode.
What's that?
We will introduce a respawn ability for the first few minutes of the game.
Okay, that's already an interesting development because previously I thought it would just be respawns all the way through, but considering it's the first few minutes of the game, I guess it just encourages players to play more aggressively earlier, and then later on it doesn't really matter. And this is not new in like these battle royale kind of games. So for example, if you look at the Call of Duty one, I can't remember the blooming name, but you get to go into like a prison and you can like find it out to be able to get out of the prison. So there is kind of like a respawn, the gulag they call it, right? So there are Warzone, right? It's
also
called
be found
Warzone.
in-
So there are opportunities in other games to be able to do that. So it's not so like outrageous or revolutionary in World of Tanks, and it could be quite cool.
Blue supply drops, allowing players to re-enter the match if they are destroyed during the initial stages of battle.
I'm not sure what I think about that. I don't think like giving people lives that you can just hang on to. I feel like one of the beautiful things about Battle Royale is that it's like life and death, right? You're living on the edge. And I think the more that you allow people to like respawn back into the game, the more casual you make it and the less rewarding you make it, and also punishing. And sometimes like rewarding and punishing can be like a beautiful thing inside video games. I should know, I've been playing World of Tanks for like 10 years.
And if you are playing in a platoon, you will even be able to revive your platoon mate if you haven't been in combat recently.
Okay. Okay.
Finally, We will also be introducing AI enemies to Steel Hunter Reborn.
I think this is a terrible idea. It just feels as if they're trying to lobotomize this game mode and trying to make it very casual. But I guess they understand that World of Tanks is a very casual game and Steel Hunter was kind of a bit of a brutal game inside a casual game. So I understand what they're trying to do. I just think that now they're like losing the core audience that actually bothered to play Steel Hunter by trying to get casual players to play Steel Hunter. But I don't think the casual players, no matter how simple you make it, are ever going to want to enjoy this game mode a lot unless there are substantial rewards.
Called Marauders. Face off against these new opponents and destroy them to gain more supply drops and experience. Marauders may seem familiar to many of you, especially if you played previous game modes such as Murny 13.
And with all due respect, the AI is really poor, so anybody is going to be able to farm. And that means that now the benefit of actually going and fighting players just doesn't really feel worth it. If you can get similar rewards for fighting an AI, of course you're going to.
There will be 3 different types of Marauders. The Wolf, which will stalk you from a distance and try to cause damage from range. The Bear, which will immediately start brawling with you as soon as you enter its proximity, but disengages when you distance yourself.
Okay.
And lastly, the Rabbit, which will try to run from you as soon as you spot them.
Great. Great. They make it sound epic.
Also, we will be looking at adjusting the gameplay by reducing the number of players to 15 in solo matches.
Okay.
All of this should reduce the odds of the early engagement, give players opportunity to level up, and stand a better chance in the game later.
I'm not sure I agree with that. I really like the early game in Steel Hunter personally. I think it's one of the most fun parts of the game is that kind of like early aggression. And so I understand what Wargaming are trying to do. They want more people to survive later on to allow the casual player to just build up their tank because they realize that later on it's less of a skill-based engagement and more of just who's collected all of the resources. But the more you do that, the more that you prevent snowballing and the more that you make it so the game isn't worth playing if you're actually a good player.
Now, let's talk about the return of the event that many of you asked about.
What's that?
I'm talking about Myrny 13 that will return later this year, concluding the story of a mystical town and anomaly that occurred there.
Fantastic.
We have been hard at work polishing Murny 13 to improve this mode, which players are already familiar with. We have been adjusting the gameplay, adding more abilities and anomalies, giving you more control and options over the benefits during battle.
If I was to give Wargaming one bit of feedback for Murny, I would absolutely love them to make sort of an endless scaling in the difficulty to really test to see how well you can coordinate with your friends. Maybe you could have like an extra level of difficulty or at the end just waves of enemies that kept coming at you, for example, to see how far you could push it. Because otherwise it's kind of a bit of a formality once you've got good at it. A little bit boring to be playing it multiple times.
We are also revamping the boss fights,
Whoa.
creating a more exciting yet challenging experience for you and your team.
Well, there you go.
So pay close attention to future announcements, where hopefully we can share more specific details.
So, with regards to this being like a roadmap, I pretty much believe we're already kind of in the... Murny is usually kind of like the Halloween event, right? So I think this will be like October, possibly. But you know what? October is quickly approaching us.
You
Service
can
record
also
update. This is
expect
interesting.
UI changes to the service record page.
Wow.
We plan...
Let's just pause here for a second and take a look to see what we can see. Okay. Battles fought, 40. Okay. Is this like how much you've played in a single day? Or is it how much you've played overall on
make
your
adjustments
account?
to the visuals of WTR ratings.
Oh, yeah?
WTR will now be divided into 5 groups.
Okay.
Bronze, Silver, Gold, Ace, and Legend.
Wow.
Each consisting of 3 levels, for a total of 15 levels.
So what Wargaming are doing with this is they want you to go and grind Wargaming rating. And the interesting thing is this WTR, this Wargaming rating, it's very heavily skewed towards playing high-tier tanks. For example, if any of you remember the video that I released on the playing the tier 4 Japanese tanks so you can get ready for Japanese tank destroyers, that game where I did something stupid like 3,000 damage and killed half of the enemy team in a tier 4 tank was a very low actual wargaming rating. I think it was only 6,000. Whereas when I play my tier 10 tanks, if I'm doing really, really well, I'm getting between 10 and 12,000 wargaming rating. And so I really hope that wargaming are going to account for this in their adjustments. Otherwise, it's just going to encourage people to just grind tier 10 again and again and again.
We hope this will provide better visualization of the rating system and how your rating compares to other players.
Fantastic.
We will also be introducing the ability to customize the achievements featured on your main statistics page.
Wow, so you can flex hard.
Giving you the ability to show off your favorite medals and achievements.
Flex.
At the end of the
How many people are now going to go and start grinding to be able to get a Rizenai Heroes medal at low tiers? We'll see. We'll see. I've never managed to get one. They're very rare. You need 14 or more kills. It's the one that nobody gets, as I like to call it. So we'll see if people try and start grinding that to flex it in their log.
Today, we want to give all players the opportunity to share their achievements and make their service record more representative of their battle scores.
More representative of their battle scores? It's already representative. I guess you can be more representative of the battle scores that you want to show off, right? You don't want to see that you've only managed to get like 2 top guns in 100,000 battles. Not judging. They must have been very exciting games, more exciting than probably me going and slamming 10 kills in a game of World of Tanks if that was the case.
Them to show off their proudest achievements.
Yeah, that collar
We
panels.
hope that you are as excited as us about all these new updates, but we have an announcement of a few game modes that are planning to return this year.
I'm going to be real with Wargaming. Pretty much what they've said is they're, like Frontline, great. Steel Hunter, great. It's the same thing, right? Murney, fine. There's no new content so far, so I'm looking forward to seeing if there's anything new in this roadmap.
Firstly, our beloved Waffentrager that will reappear later this year and will continue the existing story. Ermelinda has been hard at work in order to protect everything she and her father have created. However, the Allies added one more familiar tank to their arsenal to fight her forces, the TVP T5051. So, be prepared for the return of this game mode in addition with a new tank and some new exciting changes. And
Great. But again, this is content that we've seen over the previous years, which is being recycled, albeit improved upon. Okay.
another game mode that we can expect to return this year is Arcade Cabinet. While we can't share too much about what's planned for the next iteration, we can tell you that the game mode will feature new unique gameplay that many of you will be excited to try out.
Arcade Cabinet, again, some of them can be fun, some of them can be mediocre. Honestly, I only really play it for the bonds because Wargaming did nerf the economy. I think the only real reason that you'd want to play the Arcade Cabinet game mode is if you can make a filthy amount of credits or make a filthy amount of bonds, because the random queue is just better. It's just better. I know it's exciting for like 2 or 3 battles, but I'd really stress to Wargaming, be very worried when you invest a lot of development time into something that is really only entertaining for half an hour for your players.
And finally, we have some more information regarding the British wheeled medium tanks. We know many players have concerns regarding the introduction of new wheeled vehicles, but we want to clarify that these tanks will be more comparable to lightly armored mediums with good guns, as opposed to current wheeled vehicles in-game that players are already familiar with.
So Wargaming don't want them to be scouts.
That these tanks will not have 2 speed modes like the EBRs, and that the...
Then what's the real point of them if they don't have a speed mode? I think you could make them balanced without giving them, without, say, necessarily taking away a speed mode, Wargaming. I've really got a bad feeling that they're going to take all of that spirit away from the wheeled vehicles when they come to the British wheeled mediums. I'm a bit concerned about this line, but I hope that I'm wrong and I hope that they're entertaining.
These tanks will have slower, forward, reverse, and traverse speed, driving more similarly to tanks like the Batchat 25T.
Does anyone get the feeling that they're seriously worried about what the players think about wheeled vehicles, and they're currently just really trying to assure them they're not going to be broken like the French wheeled? Even though the French wheeled, they're not really that broken inside World of Tanks. I wouldn't think of them as being like the biggest problem in World of Tanks by far. Arguably the EBR 75, but that's a problem with Wargaming's balancing of premium vehicles. All of the other ones, maybe the EBR 105 is strong, but I think that the other light tanks with their tracks are just as competitive.
On the topic of tank traverse, it's important to note that the British wheeled mediums will not turn like the EBRs, but rather traverse on the spot, like more traditional tanks featured in the game.
How does that even work?
These tanks will be much larger.
I don't even understand how you could be able to get the wheels. Is it because it's only the front ones? How can you get a car to do that unless the wheels actually, the front ones and I guess the back ones would be turning in the direction? Whereas on a car, I guess it's only the front wheels that turn. So maybe that's how it's going to work out. Either way, that allows you to be much more flexible on the spot.
Than existing wheeled vehicles. The slower speeds and the larger models should increase the chances of causing damage when hitting the wheels.
Once again, Wargaming are telling us how... It's almost as if they're telling us how bad these wheeled mediums are going to be, rather than telling us how good they're going to be.
Also, these vehicles will receive a penalty of over 60% to mobility when one wheel is damaged.
So they'll be useless then, because that's the whole point of a wheeled vehicle, is that it keeps going even if its wheels are hit. So, okay, I really think I got a bad feeling for these British wheeled mediums.
Damaging more wheels will have a smaller effect on the tank's mobility. This differs from existing wheeled vehicles, which receive a 25% penalty and see a larger reduction in mobility with more damaged wheels.
Oh well,
we plan.
I do expect that there'll be a large number of the player base who just want these new wheeled vehicles to be absolutely awful so that nobody plays them. But it's always disappointing for new content and for mixing up the game when the new content is actually kind of meaningless.
To introduce the line from Tier 5. Branching off from the Covenanter and lead.
So you heard it, boys and girls. Uncheck accelerated crew training in your Covenanter if you want to get prepared for them, although you have a long time, and let's be honest, it's probably only going to be about 20,000 or so experience.
Up to Tier 10.
Whoa, the new Tier 10 is going to be called the Concept Number 5. The Tier 9 is going to be called the GSAW 1006. Sure, 7. The Saladin, that sounds quite exciting. Staghound as well. Ooh, there's lots of vehicles coming up.
We will also be introducing a new Tier 8 premium vehicle,
which I've already talked
to the
about.
Super Test very soon.
So if you want to find out all of the stats of this vehicle, although everything is subject to change, I've already featured this on a YouTube video that I released last week.
Unfortunately, it's too early to share any specific details about each of these tanks. However, we are certain that this line of tanks will be an interesting line, especially for experienced players.
Well, hopefully it will be interesting for experienced players, because if it's not interesting for experienced players, that's not really going to be interesting for anyone when it comes to light, medium tanks.
We hope you found this video useful and it gives you a good glimpse on what to expect during the upcoming months. So, watch for another episodes by subscribing if you haven't done it yet, and see you soon.
Yes, just to get to this, please leave a very warm welcome for Alexandra.
Welcome,
a very good
welcome,
host,
Alexandra.
explaining you more details about our development beats that are coming in the upcoming months. And please leave comments as well if you have questions regarding the features we discussed today or any feedback in general. See you in the next episode. Thank you, Alexandra, for being a great host.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, guys.
Well, thank you very much to Wargaming for sharing what is upcoming to the game. I have to admit, it's not really revealing anything new, apart from we've got a few more details about the British wheeled mediums, which we knew about from the previous roadmap. Nevertheless, it's nice when Wargaming communicate what they have coming up with their game. And if you're a huge fan of all of the events that Wargaming released last year, well, I guess you're going to be a huge fan of this. From me and my perspective, I'm always more excited about what changes they can add to the game itself, rather than making micro updates to game modes that we've had for the last few years. Nevertheless, that was the look at what we have to look forward to in World of Tanks. Hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And let me know in the comments what you think about everything that Wargaming has coming up. And if you're watching this video as it goes live on Friday, I'm going to be live streaming right now on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. So come say hi and tell me what you think about the roadmap from April. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.